2013, the government has joined several international organizations. We're a part of the Carbon Forum. We are a part of the International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENA, which I no longer serve as chairman. I'm past chairman of IRENA's council. And that is an international or intergovernmental organization that supports countries in their transition to sustainable energy future and serves as the principal platform for international cooperation. It's also a center of excellence and a repository of policy, technology, resource, and financial knowledge on renewable energy, which is incredibly important for us because we find ourselves spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on consultations when, by and large, all the science and the research that you need is out there. And so my interest in joining an IRENA was to kind of speed up our process. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. There are case studies in so many countries that have already been done that can be applied to the Bahamas. And so why spend tax dollars on additional consultations when the research is there and can simply be tweaked at a lower cost to be applied to the Bahamas. And so our involvement in IRENA was very important. I also represent the Bahamas on the executive body or board of SIDS-DOC, which is a UN-recognized body focused on providing SIDS, that's small island developing states, with affordable and reliable electricity. I now serve as SIDS-DOC's vice president, and was able to chair its inaugural first assembly, which was held in the margins of the Paris COP last year. But in addition to that, as was expressed by the last speaker, the government has signed on to the Paris Agreement, which has come into force on the 4th of November of this year. And our team, led by the Honorable Fred Mitchell, is now in Marrakesh. We're currently in, is it COP22 now? Yes. COP22, focusing on the actions that now need to be taken. We've gone beyond the agreement, we've gone beyond what we need to do. This is where the work now begins when it comes to the Paris Agreement. It's about action now. It's about developed countries and developing countries who have the means ramping up their contributions to the GCF and all of the other organs under that umbrella framework. And so this agreement, the Paris Agreement, binds countries around the world to limit their greenhouse gas emissions in an effort to mitigate climate change. Now, our contribution in the Bahamas to emissions is negligible. I think it's 0.00001%. But whatever it is, we know that there is still work that we can do to reduce whatever emissions it is that we put into the atmosphere. And so, for us, we have committed to energy sector reform, and in our INDCs, which the previous speaker referred to, we have committed to reducing emissions by some 30%. That is going to require a lot of change in this country. We have had broad consultation on vehicles, emissions, regulations, which I hope to advance before the end of this term. It's going to have an implementation date that gives us time to change. But the transportation sector is a sector that we are going to have to focus on in relation to emissions. The National Energy Policy already speaks to removing our reliance on fossil fuels. And luckily, we have seen an environment where the cost of natural gas and other cleaner fuels have gone down considerably. And now the United States of America, at least the current administration, has allowed the opportunity for exports of those cleaner fuels from the U.S. to non-NAFTA or free trade countries that they have agreements with. And so we've seen Jamaica and other countries now move to where they are installing large capacity for LNG and the like, hoping to be able to, because the financial markets tell us that while fossil fuels are relatively low, they believe it will go up in years to come. And so we have to have the ability to choose fuels that are not only inexpensive, but are cleaner. As the Minister of Environment, I would say just go clean. But BPL, and I see Burlington Strawn is now here looking at me cautiously as I speak, has to consider the cost of the delivery of electricity. Because if you ask the average Bahamian, they will tell you, don't worry, but go clean. Keep my bill low. But it comes at a cost, whether it's out of our pocket directly on the environment and the economy overall. But we have, in fact, eliminated tariffs on solar panels, inverters, LED appliances, and bulbs, and with the assistance of our friends at the IDB and the Jeff, we were able to advance 2 pilot projects which were devised to collect data on renewable energy technologies. The first project provided the installation of solar water heaters, and the second project for the installation of photovoltaic systems, PV systems, in Bahamian homes throughout the islands. And the latest is where we installed solar PV systems in our subdivision in the Department of Housing in Strong's Hill. In January of this year, we amended the Electricity Act in Parliament. And this move ushered in a new era in energy generation in the country. The legislation gave the minister responsible for BEC the power, in consultation with the minister responsible for alternative energy, that's me, the power to approve the installation or operation by a person of a generating station using solar, wind, or such other renewable energy sources as may be prescribed in the regulations. And according to the bill, which is now an act, an approved renewable energy generating station would be applicable to homes and businesses. And it then lists the criteria. And so the legislation that we advanced did a couple of things. One, it has created a transparent regulatory framework for the electricity sector. 2, it has established an independent regulator for the electricity sector. So BEC is not operator and regulator. It is just operator subjected to oversight by an independent regulator. And now it is also ushered in the legal framework for independent power producers, which means that we have the ability to approve people who are able to produce renewable energy and sell that energy to BPL. It has also created the framework for the legal framework for grid interconnection, which means that for those of you who have solar or wind, once ERCA approves the Residential Energy Self-Generation Program, which BPL and the government has agreed with, you are going to be able, and look, I hear some other people advance the energy plan, but let me be very clear. You will be able to get a credit, not a check. Let me be clear. You will get a credit for the excess energy that you provide to the grid. BPL, BPBC, whatever it's called, is not going to be giving you a check. You will get a credit that is rolled over until the end of the fiscal year, I believe, and applied. It's not a net metering system, it is a net billing framework that we're going to be advancing in the Bahamas. But I want to conclude by saying that while we're waiting on ERCA to unleash us on this renewable energy future. That is important for Bahamians to become educated on the issue of renewables and its applicability. I serve as chairman of, or served as chairman of IRENA's council. And there are countries who at large scale have been able to advance renewable energy projects, particularly solar. And the cost of solar has come down tremendously over the last 5 years, and the technology has improved significantly. There are some countries now that are generating solar at 8 cents per kilowatt hour. There are some who are able to deliver solar with storage capacity at 13 cents per kilowatt hour. The point that I make is renewable energy right now is not just the smart thing to do. It is arguably the right financial bet to make.